Hey guys, tonight we're going to slow things down and sit with a story that matters. It's about the kind of silence that holds power, the kind of patience that's been learned through years of being underestimated, and a quiet act that ripples louder than a scream. At the center of it is a woman named Maya Ellison, a name most people recognize in headlines or luxury magazines, but not in person, not when she walks in wearing flats and a $20 blouse. Today she walks into the crown jewel of her own empire, and almost no one sees her for who she is. Before we begin, please like the video and subscribe, but only if stories like this truly move you. Comment your city and the time you're watching. Now close your eyes or don't, it's your choice. Either way, you're about to witness something real. The sun on Rodeo Drive is sharp that afternoon, glinting off polished Bentleys and chrome storefronts, scattering warmth across glass facades like blessings from above. But inside the Solara Jewel Atelier flagship boutique, the air is cool, intentionally so. It's the curated kind of calm where soft music plays and the walls seem to whisper wealth. Everything from the floral arrangements to the velvet seating screams exclusivity. This is the jewel of the empire, the pride of the West Coast. And into this quiet temple of curated grace steps a woman no one's expecting. She pushes open the door with no fanfare. No personal assistant, no paparazzi trailing her. Just her. A simple woman, mid-40s, with a smooth walk and a soft gaze, her curls pinned back, her expression unreadable. She's wearing navy slacks, a buttoned blouse with one collar curled slightly inward, and scuffed ballet flats. On her wrist, a single silver bracelet dulled by time. She walks like someone with somewhere to be, but no urgency, no agenda, and certainly no intention to explain herself. Behind the central counter, Lindsay Harper pauses mid-conversation with a regular client. Her eyes drift sharp and assessing. Her designer heels click against the marble as she turns to fully face the newcomer. No smile, no welcome, just calculation visible in the stillness of her body and the tilt of her chin. Maya walks past a display of engagement rings without touching anything. She pauses briefly near the case, holding Solara's Aurora collection, delicate pieces that never go on display unless a name's in the book, the type of collection meant for red carpet fittings, not walk-ins. From behind the counter, Lindsay's voice cuts through the quiet like chilled glass. Ma'am, that's a restricted collection. Viewings are by appointment only. Her tone isn't raised, but the tension rides just beneath it like a leash pulled taut. I can show you some of our fashion pieces if you'd like, or you can schedule an appointment online. Maya doesn't flinch. She turns to her slowly, eyes calm but direct. I'm just admiring the craftsmanship, she says. Her voice is low, clear, without apology. Lindsay doesn't soften. Her eyes flick to the bracelet, then to Maya's shoes. Those pieces are quite valuable. We don't allow unsupervised browsing in this section for security reasons. A few customers glance over now. One woman in pearls shifts uncomfortably in her seat. A man in a tailored blazer clears his throat and looks away. And still Maya says nothing more. Her hands are folded lightly in front of her, her face composed. She doesn't explain who she is. She doesn't flash a name or title. She simply continues to exist in the space, taking up no more than her share, but no less. Lindsay's smile now is thin, performative. I'll have to ask you not to linger too close to that case, ma'am. We've had some issues recently, and that's when Maya meets her gaze fully. The store manager falters just for a moment. There's something unsettling about being looked at by someone who sees everything and yet gives away nothing. But Lindsay recovers, straightens her posture, and gives a little head nod to the security guard stationed near the entrance. She doesn't say the words, but her gesture speaks. Watch her. The quiet inside the boutique grows heavy, like the air has thickened. Maya takes a step back from the case, not because she's told to, but because she chooses to. Then she adjusts the strap on her bag and moves toward a chair tucked near the center of the room. She sits calmly like she owns the place. Because she does. But no one else knows that yet. Not everything stays buried forever. The marble floors seem to echo louder as the silence lingers. Lindsay Harper resumes her conversation with the well-dressed couple seated near the corner, but her words don't carry the same luster. Her eyes keep flicking back to Maya, as if she can't quite let go of the puzzle sitting so calmly in her boutique. Something about this woman unsettles her, but instead of curiosity, Lindsay turns to control. That's what she knows. That's what she's trained for. Order, presentation, power. She glides back toward the front desk past a young sales associate named Jordan, who offers a hesitant smile in Maya's direction. Lindsay sees it and frowns. "Jordan," she says under her breath, "stay focused. We don't reward distractions." The boy flinches slightly, nodding without another glance at Maya. Maya notices it all. She always has. She built this brand with the belief that dignity should be woven into every detail, not just in the diamonds, but in the way people are treated. But Lindsay doesn't know that. She only sees a woman sitting too close to status without a proper invitation. It's been 12 minutes now. Maya hasn't asked for assistance. She hasn't touched a thing. But her very presence, her quiet defiance of the unspoken rules is unsettling enough. Lindsay steps closer, her voice low, polite on the surface, but firm beneath. "Ma'am," she says, with a pinched smile, "do you intend to make a purchase today? If not, I'm going to have to ask you to give space to our clients who do." Maya raises her eyes. "Is there a time limit for looking?" Her tone is measured, not sharp. Lindsay hesitates, then leans slightly forward. "No. But there are standards for who gets to view high-value pieces, especially when they arrive without an appointment and can't verify purchasing power." There it is, said plain. The other clients look over again, but this time they don't pretend not to be listening. One woman's brows furrow. A man in cufflinks murmurs something under his breath. Maya doesn't look away. "So I need to prove I belong here." Lindsay's smile freezes. It's nothing personal. It's company policy. But Maya knows better. She wrote the real policy herself years ago in a quiet boardroom with one window and no air conditioning. "Treat every customer like they belong," she had told her team. "Because if they're standing in front of our glass, they already do." But that's not the policy Lindsay follows. She adds now coolly, "If you're interested in pieces under 5,000, I'd be happy to show you something more aligned with your style." Maya's hands rest gently on the arms of her chair. She tilts her head slightly, and for the first time, there's the faintest trace of a smile, one not born of amusement, but awareness. Jordan from the edge of the counter shifts again. He saw Maya's name in an internal email last month, but it was a blur, a profile about leadership. Something about her face is starting to click. He opens his tablet, slowly pretending to check inventory, but really he's pulling up the staff directory. Lindsay doesn't notice. Her attention is fixed on reasserting her control, her curated order of who deserves what in this boutique. To her, Maya is the wild variable, a blemish on the polished illusion. "I'm going to need to ask you to step away from the showcase now," Lindsay says. "If not, I'll have no choice but to involve security." Maya doesn't rise. She simply says, "Then do what you feel you need to." Her voice is quiet, her shoulders relaxed, but the tension in the room sharpens like a thin wire pulled tight. Lindsay huffs slightly more for show than necessity and waves over the security guard, a tall, broad-shouldered man named Alvin, who's worked at the boutique for nearly 6 years. He's seen a lot. But what's unfolding now, it makes him uneasy. He approaches slowly, casting a careful glance between Maya and Lindsay. "She's not cooperating," Lindsay tells him. "Please escort her out." Alvin doesn't move. He looks at Maya, then back to Lindsay. "Is she causing a disturbance?" he asks flatly. Lindsay's jaw tightens. She's refusing to leave a restricted area and refusing to show purchasing credentials. Alvin hesitates. "With respect, Ms. Harper, that's not grounds for removal." Lindsay lowers her voice. "Do you want to risk your job over this?" That's when Maya stands, slowly, calmly. No flash of anger, no raised voice. She reaches into her bag, pulls out her phone, and with one gentle press dials a number. The ringtone hums once. Then a voice picks up. "This is Maya Ellison," she says clearly. "I'm at the Rodeo Drive store. Please get the board on the line. It's time." And just like that, the illusion begins to break. Jordan looks up from his tablet, eyes wide now. Alvin straightens. A customer gasps audibly. Lindsay's lips part, but no words come. Her face blanches. Her eyes dart to the bracelet on Maya's wrist, the one from the original press photos, the one tied to Solara's founding story. Not everything stays buried forever. There's a moment, maybe half a second, when the entire store seems to stop breathing. The music fades into irrelevance. The chandeliers don't shimmer so confidently anymore. Even the marble underfoot feels less certain. All attention swings to the woman who just made the call, the woman they almost pushed out. Maya Ellison doesn't raise her voice, doesn't flash a business card, doesn't make a scene. She simply stands there, composed and absolute, like someone who has endured 1,000 humiliations but never lost herself in any of them. The phone is still in her hand, held like a quiet weapon forged from truth. On the other end of the line, someone responds with urgency, clear, decisive. Yes, Ms. Ellison, confirming board members now. Do you need us to dispatch PR? Maya's eyes remain on Lindsay. No, she says evenly. I'll handle the public part. A ripple passes through the boutique. Customers who were pretending not to look now turn fully. Phones rise. Whispers spread like static. Jordan's mouth is slightly open as he stares at the internal staff profile still on his screen. Maya Ellison, founder, CEO, creator of the very space she'd just been accused of contaminating with her presence. Lindsay's hands tremble just slightly as she takes a breath. Her voice is shaky, but trying to reassert control. There must be some mistake. If I had known. You didn't ask. Maya replies, her tone still level. You decided. Lindsay's face crumples a fraction. Color drains from her cheeks, but she fights to keep her mask on. I didn't mean offense. I was just protecting the store. We've had situations. I didn't want to take chances with people who look like me. Maya cuts in softly, her words landing without force but with unmistakable weight. There's no malice in her eyes, only clarity. Lindsay's mouth opens, but no reply comes. The truth sits between them, exposed and unmoving. Alvin steps back respectfully. He doesn't need to say anything. His posture says it all. This woman doesn't need protection. She is the storm. Maya turns not to leave, but to address everyone else in the room. I've founded Solara on the belief that luxury should never depend on appearance. That respect is not a privilege, but a baseline. Her voice isn't raised, but it fills the room. But today, in my own flagship store, I've been told I do not belong. There's silence, a deep, raw kind, the kind that doesn't beg for a response, because everyone already knows. I didn't come here to be recognized, she continues. I came here to observe, to listen, and I have. A few employees avert their eyes. One begins to cry quietly near the back. A customer places her necklace back on the tray, no longer interested. Lindsay is still frozen in place, as if denial could stop time. Ms. Ellison, I've always respected the brand. I work hard. I've brought in some of our highest VIP clients. I didn't know who you were. That's not the problem, Maya replies. You treated me this way because you assumed I was no one. She lets the sentence hang there, suspended like crystal. Then she turns to Jordan. Would you please unlock the Aurora case? I'd still like to see the collection if that's all right. Jordan nods, fumbling with the keys, hands shaking. Yes, ma'am, right away. The safe opens, velvet trays emerge, and for a moment the diamonds gleam again, but now with a different kind of light. Not one of exclusivity, but of reckoning. Maya steps forward, not to flaunt, but to honor her grandmother, the woman who gave her the silver bracelet she still wears. The woman who used to press Maya's hands between hers and whisper, "Don't let them tell you where you do or don't belong." As Maya studies the pieces, she doesn't look at Lindsay again. That part is done. But Lindsay, now visibly shaking, speaks again. Please, I didn't mean to harm the brand. I thought I was protecting it. Maya finally looks at her. Her eyes are sad now, not angry. You were protecting your version of it. But Solara was never built for gatekeeping. It was built for grace. Lindsay falters. I've given this job everything. I believe you, Maya says. But you gave it the wrong pieces of yourself. Just then the phone at the front desk rings. Jordan answers, listens, then looks at Maya. It's corporate. They say the board is on the line. They're asking for you. Maya nods. She steps to the counter, presses the speakerphone button. A composed voice comes through. Ms. Ellison, the board is assembled. Please proceed. Maya looks around the boutique. She doesn't ask for privacy. This moment was never meant to be hidden. Effective immediately, she says, Lindsay Harper is relieved of her position as store manager at the Rodeo Drive location. There's no ceremony, just the quiet exhale of a brand reclaiming its soul. Lindsay covers her mouth, stunned, as if she didn't quite believe the day could turn this way. But she's not escorted out. She's not humiliated. She's simply asked to step aside. That's what real justice looks like. Firm, final, dignified, and not everything that shatters makes a sound. For a full minute, the only sound inside the boutique is the soft hum of the ventilation system and the muted shuffle of a few stunned customers gathering their things. Lindsay Harper doesn't move. Her hands still cover her mouth as if that might somehow hold back the collapse that's been building all day. Behind her eyes is the dawning realization that nothing will be the same after this. Not for her and not for anyone who just watched the quiet fall of a woman who thought she controlled the room. Maya doesn't gloat. She doesn't linger in victory. She simply lowers the phone, ends the call with a press, and gently lays the receiver down on the counter. Her body remains upright, shoulders straight, eyes calm. But those who look closely might see the weariness behind her strength, the kind that comes from fighting quiet wars every day, with no one watching, no applause at the end. Wars of assumptions, tone posture, and exclusion. And still she walks through them. Not above it all, through it all. Jordan steps closer, holding the tray of diamonds from the Aurora collection like it's an offering. His hands don't tremble now. He's not afraid of Maya. He's proud. This piece, he says, gesturing to a rose-cut pendant resting in velvet, was based on your original sketch. Right? Maya looks at it, her design. It sparkles under the light, refracting the beams like it's breathing. My grandmother had a pendant like that, she says softly. It wasn't worth much, but when she wore it, people looked at her like she mattered. That's what I wanted, to create jewelry that makes you feel seen. He nods, and something small but powerful passes between them. Mutual respect, quiet recognition. No need for titles. Behind them, Lindsay is quietly gathering her things. There's no dramatic exit, just a trembling hand zipping up a leather tote, a final glance toward a place that once gave her purpose and now reflects only what she failed to see. She walks toward the exit, but pauses near Maya. I know I can't undo it. Lindsay says, her voice raw, barely above a whisper, but I want to say I'm sorry, not because of who you are, but because of what I assumed. Maya turns to her. Her eyes don't flash with anger or forgiveness. They just hold truth. We all assume, she says, but it's what we do after that reveals who we are. Lindsay nods slowly, to lips pressed tight to keep the tears from spilling. And then she walks out of the glass door, closing behind her with a soft hiss. No one claps, no one jeers, just quiet. Maya turns back to the boutique floor. The tension that once lingered has been replaced by something else, relief, humility, the awkward but necessary birth of change. She steps forward now, not toward the jewels, but toward her team. Jordan, she says gently, how long have you been with us? 14 months, he answers, straightening. You saw something wrong, and though you didn't intervene directly, I saw you hesitate. That matters. It means your instinct leans toward fairness. She pauses. I'd like you to step into the assistant manager role. You'll have training and mentorship, but I believe in how you see people. His jaw drops slightly. I don't know what to say. Say you'll lead with grace, he nods, choked up. Yes, ma'am. Maya turns to Alvin, the guard, who stayed silent but steady through it all. You didn't follow an order that didn't sit right with you. That's rare and it's brave. I just did what I thought was right, he says, eyes down. And that's exactly the kind of example I want our team to follow. You'll oversee security protocol, training across all locations. We need your calm judgment in more places than one. He blinks hard and finally lifts his gaze. Thank you, he says quietly, for trusting me. Maya nods. Then she turns slowly to face the customers still lingering. Some are holding jewelry. Some are holding their phones. Most are just holding breath. To anyone here who saw what happened, she says thank you for bearing witness. It's easy to celebrate brands. Harder to question the people behind them. But you did just by staying. A woman in a red blazer raises her hand timidly. Are you really the founder? I am. The woman swallows. Then thank you for not shouting, for not turning this into something ugly. You reminded me that you don't have to be loud to be powerful. Maya offers a small smile. Sometimes the quietest voices change the most. She doesn't ask for applause, doesn't take a bow. She simply gathers the Aurora tray and places it gently back in the display case. Not as an act of ownership, but of care. Everything about her movement says this place matters to me because people matter to me. Not everything that collapses is a loss. Sometimes it's the start of a better foundation. Evening light begins to pour through the boutique's front windows, casting amber streaks across the marble floor. The showroom glows differently now, softer, warmer, as if something cold has been lifted. Maya stands near the front display, gazing at the bracelet on her wrist. It's the only piece she wears, and it carries more worth than anything in the store. Not in dollars, in memory. She walks quietly through the space, straightening a few brochures, adjusting a jewelry tray, not because she has to, but because she always has. Even when she was a one-woman operation working out of her kitchen in East Oakland, she believed in dignity down to the last folded receipt and polished glass. To her, a brand was never just a name or a price tag, it was a promise. And today that promise had been put to the test. Jordan is now behind the counter answering questions from a curious couple who came in for a watch and stayed to witness a reckoning. He stands taller now, his voice steadier, like someone who's just been handed a torch and fully understands the weight of it. Alvin remains near the door not as a bouncer, but as a sentinel, a man who once followed orders without thought, but now understands the quiet power of choosing to pause, to evaluate, to see. And Maya, she doesn't seek the spotlight. She never has. But she does step forward when it matters. She approaches a small cluster of employees gathered near the register, people who had stayed quiet during the ordeal, not out of indifference but uncertainty. I know today was uncomfortable, she begins, voice gentle but unwavering. It exposed things we don't always talk about. But silence is where bias hides. And today we pulled that silence into the light. One of the younger sales associates, a Latina woman named Camila, looks up nervously. Will there be consequences, for the rest of us? Maya nods slowly. Yes, but not punishment. Growth. There will be retraining policy updates, new leadership models. But more than anything, there will be conversations. Because no one should ever be left alone at the front of a misunderstanding. Camilla swallows and whispers, thank you, for not embarrassing anyone. Maya offers a quiet smile. Justice doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be clear. Outside, a few people are still lingering, unsure if they're allowed back in, unsure what kind of place Solara really is now. Maya walks to the glass door and opens it herself. You're welcome to come in, she says kindly. Everyone is. And they do, one by one. No fanfare, no rush, just a quiet affirmation that something sacred had been restored. By nightfall, the boutique begins to settle. The team feels different, not broken, not perfect, but aware. And that awareness is the first step toward a better culture, one rooted in dignity over assumption and humanity over hierarchy. As Maya prepares to leave, Jordan stops her. Ms. Ellison, he says, can I ask you something? Of course. Why didn't you say who you were right away? She considers the question, then looks him straight in the eyes. Because if I have to announce my title to be treated with respect, then we haven't built the right kind of place. He nods slowly, her words sinking deep. No company handbook had ever taught him that. But today had. Maya steps outside. The night is crisp, the city humming softly around her. She walks to her car, not a black SUV, not a chauffeur-driven sedan, but a weathered silver Lexus. The kind you keep when it still runs because not everything old needs to be replaced. She slips into the driver's seat, removes the bracelet from her wrist, and places it gently on the passenger side. Then she exhales, a long, quiet breath, the kind you take after surviving something hard and choosing not to be hardened by it. Inside the store, the lights dim to evening mode. Employees move with more care. The air no longer crackles with judgment, but hums with quiet accountability. And on the front window, reflected by the street lamps, the name Solara still shines. But now it means something deeper. So here we are at the end of a story not just about jewelry, but about something more enduring character. Maya Ellison didn't raise her voice. She didn't demand attention. She simply stood where others thought she shouldn't and let the truth speak for itself. She reminded us that quiet strength is not weakness. That humility, when paired with integrity, can dismantle prejudice faster than rage ever could. And that real leadership isn't measured in titles or power, but in how you treat the person you think no one else is watching. The boutique didn't crumble. It transformed. And through that transformation, every staff member, every customer, and even those of us listening were reminded of a timeless truth. Respect isn't earned by status. It's revealed through grace. So wherever you are tonight, on a quiet street, in a warm kitchen, or just lying back with your thoughts, remember Maya's story. The bracelet she wore was old, but the values it stood for, always knew.